And away we go. Alrighty then, every little thing is gonna be alright. Oh, I accidentally heard that one instead. Woo! Alright, happy Easter. Does that mean I rose again on the third day? Gosh. Oh man, I couldn't think of a better joke than that, but uh, yes, the one and the only. But yes, welcome. Welcome, one and all. Why are you not working? Hold on. No. Dun, dun. Where's backup chat? Is that backup chat? No, that is not backup chat. Where's my thing? Where is it? Uh no. Chat background. Do I not have a chat? Hold on. Also, welcome. Welcome to the both of yous. Did I never fix this? I don't think I ever fixed this. Really? No, I did not. Hold on. Un momento, por favor. Uh, but yes, welcome, one and all, to the stream that somehow works. Even though sometimes it doesn't. Uh, yeah, sure. Why not? I've ate her. Oh no, they changed things. Oh no. Oh no, they. Oh no. Oh, I have to log in? Please? Say that's all I have to do? Yeah? 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 But yes, how goes it with all y'all? It's been a while. Been far too long, honestly. And I really hope y'all can hear me, because if you can't, I'll be upsetty spaghetti, because then I don't know what's going on at that point. Uh, let's see. Gosh, it makes it so hard. My channel. Okay. Now. Ah, yep, okay. I am here. Perfect. Yep, perfect. Alright, we're good to go. We are up. There it is. Hold up. I don't need a tutorial. Just give me the thing. Copy it. Oh my gosh, everything. I thought I had everything prepared. Silly me. That never happens. Not on these streams. Alright. It should be working now. Teeth. If this shows up, though, we're good. Yay! Oh. Oh, no. Oh. Why are we doubled? Why? Why are we doubled? Oh no. Uh, okay. No, that one. That one. No, that's not one. That the fun must be doubled. That is so true. Let's just get. Yeah, let's just get rid of that one. I don't know where that one came from. Because that's hidden. Oh, I found it. Okay, let's just move that. Like, right there. Perfect. Yeah, so I just want to rename this. Please, just let me rename it. Woo! Alright, perfect. Well, alrighty then. I know it's been ages since I've been here, so we can either catch up or I can start reading. And we can summon the pasta here immediately. Oh, did I not mention everyone else? Hold on. This is what happens. I get so rusty. Just a live stream. We're rock. We're go. Don't mind my spelling. When was the last one? New Year's? No, I actually, for once, I managed to do a couple of streams between now and New Year's. Let's see, when was my last one? Because now I'm actually curious. Because it wasn't... Like, it was, yes, a month ago. Oh, yes, it was Panic at the Battle Guardhouse. Gosh. 70 days ago. Gosh, it's been 3 months. It's almost been... So, 2.5? Yeah, it's been 2.5 months. Well, the transition to summer's always gonna be hell. But hey, now we're here. So now I'm properly adjusted now. The only streams you do are the New Year streams as required by law. I mean, true. I do want to try to do an April Fool's. I did want to try and do an April Fool's stream. I forgot it's already April. Gosh, I can't tell y'all how far behind I've fallen on so many projects. Here's to catching up on at least one. No, I won't be, like, editing on stream because that's boring for y'all. Also, welcome V, and welcome Farfalla. So, got pasta, got... Oh, is that... your elite Arja? Litmus? I keep forgetting. I need to write this down. I'm so bad with remembering connections. Oh yes, Farfalla, we're specifically summoning you to torture you by me reading the continuing chapter. As soon as I figure out what chapter number this is. Yay, I guessed right. Alright, now, which chapter number is this one? Because, we have to get it right. So, last one was Hark Lady Moonstone. The Lady Moonstone returneth. Alright, so this is 57. Chapter 57. We're all up to date, no chapter to read. Now I know that's a bold-faced lie. Because if I was truly caught up with, if I was truly caught up with Changing of the Guard, you know what other books I'd be reading? I'd either be reading Respite, which is not many people see it. I've released 2 videos on my channel 7 years ago, and I never touched them since then. And the other, or I'd start reading through the expanded Ling universe as created by Karma. I managed to use one router to connect to my main router. Oh, you're using extend. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Farfalla. That that that's rough. That's rough, buddy. V hasn't published a new chapter since Titanfall had a new. Oof. Oof. That's such a dick. I'm sorry, V. I'm sorry that Elite is just so wrong. Or no, am I sorry he's wrong? You know what? It's too early on a Sunday morning to like have brain work as it's supposed to. Because it's it's illegal for it to be working this far in the morning. Like it's by law, so that's why I can't word correctly half the time. And why is this so small? No, get back here. Come on, come on. There we go. Now I can read it. I gotta put it on old man mode. Put my glasses at the bridge of my nose, because I guess that's how all old folks have their eyeglasses. I never got that because that just makes it so hard to read. Since Duke Nukem had a game. Oof. Alright, now this first line is by Cersus. Actually, no, I have to still read the... Hold on. Let me pull back up my folder. Hold on, folder. Why did I dismiss you? You're not to be dismissed. Until you know that I'm for sure done with yous. This is how it, this is the way. And all that. I never watched that show. I heard it's pretty good and then kind of went, man, now it's okay? I don't know. Alright, 57. Alright, there we go. I have you in portrait mode on my phone. Best of luck, Warlord. Yeah, everything kind of has to be tiny on a phone. Unless you got like one of those cool folding phones. I've always wanted to try a folding phone. I just don't have folding phone money. Chapter 57. Hooves on first. Also, hello to you, Farfalla. Welcome to the stream. We're actually going to make some progress today, and no one can stop me. As I have 2.5 months of pent-up reading in my bones, and they must be released. At I don't know whose cost, probably my own, but we shall see. It's kind of funny how my most productive season is the summer when I have the least amount of time. Every year it happens, and every year I am absolutely flabbergasted by it. They aren't worth the money, but they're very cool. I know. I was very interested mostly in like the Z Fold, just because it was actually a tablet and a phone, whereas like most folding phones are just either phone or big square phone. And I'm like, I don't want big square phone. I just want a bigger tablet. I just want a tablet format. And then they're like, oh no, that was supposed to be a novelty and we're not really supposed to be selling those as a flagship. It's like, you're the ones that released it. You could have chose to not do that. Then they did, and then they realized it was a mistake. So, and I still might get a tablet someday. I don't know though. I do have a drawing tablet. It's the cheapest one I could find. Not the cheapest, but it was one of the cheapest ones I could find. Doesn't have a screen on it. It's nice to have, better than a mouse, but I know the ones with the screen are even better. Don't you yearn for the days of the Razor? Oh, Warlord. This stream and everything for like the last 3 years. No. 5 years. God, really? Oh, no. Everything for the last 5 years have been produced solely on a Razer laptop. I don't have a desktop computer. I kind of wish I do, because this laptop is so unusable as a laptop that it's permanently bolted to my wall, because it's more useful that way than actually being portable. I don't know how these people messed up that hard. So, no, I don't think I will ever yearn for the days of the Razer. And it's not the battery's fault, because that's been replaced twice. And it still gets crap power, even with a brand new cell in it. So it's specifically the laptop's fault at this point. I just don't have the money to replace it, or the money to get a proper desktop, especially at today's prices. Sadness. But the Motorola Razr? Oh! I forgot about that. No, I'm yearning back for the days of the Windows Phone. I never had a Razr. In fact, my first phone, I think, was a Nokia. I don't even think it was a proper Nokia. I think I just called it a Nokia because I accidentally dropped it from a stairwell like 3 stories up, and the only thing that happened was the battery flew out. And then I just put it back in and put it back together, and the phone worked perfectly fine. Why don't you get a Zune while you're at it? Oh, man. I want to get a Zune, actually. Not for the Zune as it was, but I saw a video the other day of someone upgrading a Zune, and it's so much more functional than 98% of the MP3 players out there. I actually still use an MP3 player because I don't use it anymore, but I did have one back when I worked for the government. Because you did not get any signal in that building. And my phone's battery was actually really shot at the time. So I would have to have it in battery mode my entire shift. It would still almost die every single shift, just listening to already downloaded stuff, all the antennas turned off. So I actually had to start bringing in a battery pack to work to charge my phone while I'm listening to it so I could last a whole shift, and even that, it barely made it. I have a new phone now, so that's not really a concern anymore. But in the meantime, I got a MP3 player, bought like a $80 one off of Amazon. It was pretty much just a hard drive that pretended to be an MP3 player. Worked pretty decently. But if I could have gotten a Zune and upgraded it like that one video did, I could have put so much stuff on there, and it would have been actually usable. Like, it really seeing that video really brought me back to the time when I had an iPod Touch. I also have an MP3 player. It's called a phone. Well, the thing is your phone's too overpowered to just be an MP3 player, so it just drains the shit out of its battery. Like, I think we went through a whole phase of consolidation, and now everything's consolidated in one place. People are like, you know what? I like when my device was a bunch of different things. So now they're not consolidating and they're just like, I want specialty designed products that solves one function because it does that job great. I'm not saying it's not an MP3 player. I just say it's so overpowered as an MP3 player that you're wasting power just using it as an MP3 player. It has to be doing other things. But anyway, that's enough of my MP3 player glory. Gosh, I cannot take on another project at this time. I have too many. I am building a Murphy bed right now. I don't care. The music is great. Yeah, music's great. I actually listen to more podcasts than anything, but music's great. But you just when you don't need the functions of a phone, an MP3 player just goes great for it. Anyway, my next project that I'm doing is actually nothing technical, it's physical, and it's building a Murphy bed so I can actually get some space in this room that I'm currently in. Yeah, Murphy bed. It could be named other things around the world, but it's basically a fold up bed. It just folds up into a cabinet on the wall and you reclaim so much floor space. Like, so much, and for very little wall space too. It's it's actually amazing. So that's what I'm building right now. Got all the materials. I just have to cut them up, stain them, and assemble. Which I was planning on doing yesterday, but then it was my family's Easter party, so I couldn't do that. And I can't do that today because I'm busy hanging out with y'all and some local friends. Next week, I might be able to get at least the cutting and maybe staining done because I work next Saturday. Who knows? At the very least, I'm hoping to get done the Saturday after next. I see you don't iPad baby and have a video in picture in the corner while you play a Minesweeper. First off, I'm terrible at Minesweeper. Second off, I have four things going at the same time. But if I have to read something, all my focus has to be on reading, which is why there is no music that ever plays in the background of these streams. One, copyright, but also, I cannot listen to music and read at the same time. It's actually impossible. Like, even if it's the most low key piano music, I'm like, no, shut up. I have to read. I have to read harder. I cannot save memory bandwidth for my ears right now. I was always behind late 90s. I had a tape player, mid 2000s CD player. Everyone got smartphones. I had a cavalcade of cheap MP3 players all up until I bought my first iPhone and never looked back. So, thing is, with that, I've never really had a lot of tech growing up. Like, I think, like, I think I mentioned on this stream before that my pretty much first console was a SNES and a 64, and we had that until the 360 came out. I didn't even realize that those were only two generations apart, but I'm not that much of a gamer, so I'll just skip beyond that. But like even with the iPod, the only reason we got an iPod was they were doing a uh, at school breakfast. On the back of everything, you would get like a little cardboard dollar, and if you saved up enough of those, one of the grand prizes was an iPod. Like not an iPod Touch, like the iPod USB stick that you, and I still have that. I don't know where it is, but I know I have it somewhere in this dumpster fire of a room. And me and my brother saved up like 300 of those, and we shared that iPod for for the rest until he got a job and like bought his first phone, and then it was my iPod. And I had that for like 10, 20 years or so. Not 20. Like 10 years. 10 or so years or so. And then my first phone was a flip phone. And that was back in 2016. And then, or no, 2012 was when I got a flip phone that was paid for by my dad. It could only call and text. That was all it could do. I didn't get my first smartphone until 2015. And that's when I could buy it myself. And it was like the cheapest Motorola. It was like only $100 at Walmart and whatnot. It was great. It actually has some of the features that I wish modern smartphones had, which was you could chop it in the air twice. It would turn on a flashlight and just random shit like that. And I was just like, oh, this is great. This is the future. And I didn't even upgrade to like a proper like flagship model of smartphone until like almost 2020, I want to say. I think it was like 2020, 2021 that I actually upgraded to a flagship smartphone and not the cheapest one I could find at the store. Does the iPod still work last you saw it? I actually have no idea. I haven't plugged it in. So maybe, or maybe the battery's shot. I have no idea. If I find it again, because I found it once, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Put it to the side, and I haven't seen it since. If I find it again, I'll charge it up and let you know if it still works. Because if it does, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Did you hear about their partnership with Graphene? Oh yeah, it looks very fun. Also, they're just like sweating bullets because Graphene is like, no, we won't. we won't submit to the whims of various governments. And Motorola's like, no, dude, shut up. We want to get into these countries. I don't know too much about it. Just pretty much anything like, that happens in like this one tech server that I'm in. I don't even remember the name of that tech server. Is it even on Discord? It's on a different platform. I don't feel like looking for it right now. Maybe Root? No idea. Yeah, their entire thing is privacy and security, and the government's like, how about not that? And Graphics like, did we stutter? Very funny standoff happening there. It's on an AOL chat room. I never had AOL. I never used it growing up. Like, that was more 90s thing. I was born on the tail end of the 90s, so I can technically call myself a 90s kid, even though, like, I don't even remember things until mid-2000s. But I can lord over my status of, at least I wasn't born in the 2000s. Oh my gosh. I missed that train wreck by 3 years. Oh man. But yeah, like, and plus, like, our families never really had good internet. Like, we had like 3 different internet companies come out to us, and they're like, yeah, you're in an internet dead zone. Our line won't come out this far because you're in the middle of the boonies. So, yeah, you're just basically restricted to like maybe maybe 10 down. And that's what I lived with until like the end of high school. It was so bad. Oh no! Why is that big now? Get back. But anyways, that man, reminiscing about ye olden days. It just back in my day, I'm gonna really be one of those guys, aren't I? But that is not for today. As much as the early to mid aughts were a continuation of the 90s in a lot of ways culturally, I never saw a floppy disk until probably like 2015. I never saw one after 2017 when I lost the two I got in 15. Yeah, funny thing is that I only ever saw floppy disks because that's what my dad's old computer ran on. It was like a it was a very old Mac machine. I don't even know what kind of Macintosh it was. Like one of those old ones. And like I just remember it was beige because every piece of high technology was beige at the time. And I also remember the loading bar was like a little wristwatch which I thought was like really cool. And I don't know where he got this, but his screensaver was uh, Fantasia's Sorcerer's Apprentice with uh, the brooms dumping water on it, filled up the screensaver until Yinsid comes on screen and banishes the water away, and that was his loading screen. It was so cool. And Apple II. Oh, nice. Now I know what he had. That was a funny machine. I could tell that it was on its last legs when I inherited it because every time you turned it on, it sometimes just wouldn't turn on, so you'd have to restart it like 3 or 4 times before it would actually start up. And so that made it so you just never turned it off because if you turned it off, it might take another half an hour to an hour for it to properly turn back on again. I wonder what happened to that. It probably got thrown away at some point. Gosh, that machine was so old. But yeah, with floppy disks, thing is with floppy disks, I never felt so old as when I found one of my dad's old floppies. I don't know why we had one of his old floppies, and my my nephew sees that, and it's like, why? It just says, why do you have a 3D printed save button? I just wanted to just die on the spot. Like I could not believe it. Yeah. Oh, so you made up that whole thing? I was just, well, thing is, neither of us knows what he had. I just know it was a Mac, and I thought it was really cool because the power button was on the keyboard and not on the tower itself. I'm like, oh, that's sick. And then that never shows up in any computer ever unless it's a laptop. What? Yeah, exactly, Pasta. A 3D printed save button. Uh, yep, that's when you know that you're super old. As well as a 3D printed save button. Uh, that's what my nephew called a floppy disk. What's even worse is that he did not believe me when I mentioned I was older than YouTube. He just thought I was lying to him for the longest time. I'm barely in my 20s. How young is he? He's like, he's like, uh, at the time, he was like 6. Or no, not 6. He was like 8 or so, like single digits, maybe 10. I'm never good with remembering ages. It's crazy to think how the knowledge of what a floppy disk is has just entirely vanished so quickly. Same thing as rotary phones have kids. You've seen pics again? So, okay, that's fair. Oh, you know what's funny, Papyrus? I, uh, Me and a bunch of my friends were playing Murder Trivia Party 2, and one of the death mini games is you have to use a rotary phone to dial a number. I was the only one that lived through that round because I was the only one that actually practiced on a rotary phone and that actually knew how rotary phones worked just because my grandpa had one and he told me how it worked. Oh, I can it's so old technology just fascinates me. What? How it's not hard? Well, thing is that like the youngins don't know you have to like push in the thing, spin all the way around until you get to that catch, and then you have to wait for it to retract. So they just kind of like poke it in and move it, and then go to the next one, but they don't like go all the way. So they were just very confused at this whole concept of having to like wait and you have to pull it all the way to a certain point before letting go. They were very confused. You play with it for 5 seconds and it's yep. But thing is, Papyrus, is that for people that never touched a rotary phone before, it's not that simple, especially if they don't know the reasoning behind why it needs to do that. They clearly lacked a tactile-tism. I'm going to call it a vintage-tism at this point because a lot of the tech back then was very tactile, which is why I started. Which is why when I found technology connections, I'm just like, this is my person. You know exactly where I get where what I get with technology. It's perfect. Oh man. Oh gosh, I haven't even read anything yet. And it's almost 12. I am clearly falling behind. And I'm almost out of water, so I'm going to have to go and retreat to grab some more. It's okay, let's see. Cersus. How does Cersus go? Tell us more about tech. Hold on, please. Please, wait. I didn't know the reason either, and I just put two together. I knew how it worked because I saw it moving and I saw it stop at the same spot each time. Thing is that that's fair in a normal situation, but in a death mini game during Trivia Murder Party, you just don't really get time to think it through. So it's kind of a either you know it or you don't, and you have to put that together before other people get put together. So it's just more panic than anything. But I'm also a very unreasonably calm person, and so I was able to be like, "Oh yes, I remember doing this." And I was the only one that wouldn't because everyone else like panicked too hard at the timer. Oh, each another was sent a pulse down the line, hence why it's called pulse dialing. If you were good enough, you could tell the dial by pressing the receiver hook. You could dial. If you were good enough, you could dial by pressing the receiver hook in the right rhythm. Oh, that is fantastic. What's your favorite storage medium? Ooh, that's a good one. Because thing is, my favorite and the best one are kind of are just they just have to be different answers. Oh, you I prefer Tupperware. The thing is that they all had their different uses for the life cycle that they were, except for CEDs, RIP RCA and all that. they should have brought it out. They shouldn't have put it through that much engineering hell to bring it to market. They could have won the format wars before it even started. But anyway, it's like out of all the formats, I think the most interesting one is Laserdisc. And I kind of wish it survived longer. So I'd say probably Laserdisc is one of my favorite mediums just because of how unique it is. Tape is also pretty decent as a storage medium. I actually worked with that a lot at my last job. But like the best one, like hard drives or SSDs. Like I like hard drives just for the storage density of them, because like SSDs, SSDs they're super fast. You can store a lot of stuff and whatnot. To this day, I only have a 250 gig SSD in my computer. Everything else is on hard drives because spinning rust is always going to be cheaper than than SSDs, and I'm a very cheap person at the very end of the day. Physical media is forever. Yep. Like I actually have all the movies. When I see a movie that I want to keep, I buy the physical copies, rip it to digital, and then I keep the physical copies, but then I watch the digital wherever I please. Well, the thing is one, I don't play games. Two, if I were to put games, I'd put them on the terabyte hard drive that's in the computer. That's what I. The only thing that's on my 250 gig is the OS and system apps. That's the only thing. Everything else is on the hard drive. Is it slightly slower? Yes. Does it really matter? Not really. For how I use my computer, I don't use anything. That's barely enough for two. Oh, I didn't realize we were counting all of our computer storage. I'm just counting the ones on my current PC of a laptop / desktop. That's just 1 terabyte. On my NAS downstairs, I have about I have about 8 terabytes of storage on there, and I'm upgrading it to 15 as soon as prices make sense for hard drives again. I planned this all out, and then I couldn't buy hard drives before they went to the moon. I'm still upset about that. I also don't use Plex, I use Jellyfin. I have a lifetime Plex pass, but Plex has gotten more and more unusable over the years, so I'm just like, Jellyfin all the way. And the thing is despite me only having a terabyte on this, I can tell you exactly how much is being used up. I have used up, I have 469, nice, gigs free on this terabyte hard drive that I have not changed in 7 years. We're going to the moon right now. Want to ask the astronauts to grab me some SSDs and RAM. Don't tell me that, I just set it up. Thing is if you have Plex on the server, Jellyfin is pretty easy to add on top of that. I recommend running it in Docker, because I'm running it on the bare metal, and it's great until you get some plugins onto it, and then you're like, oh, I have to restart the whole computer just to make sure these finalize. And it's a pain every time, and said you can just put on Docker, and then you can just restart the container. But that's if you want to even learn how to use Docker in the first place. But Jellyfin's Nice. I actually started with a Plex server, and I'm still running the Plex server. And then I just also run Jellyfin, but I direct everyone to just use Jellyfin if they can, and Plex if Jellyfin isn't supported on their smart TVs. That's how I run it. Yeah, thing is that despite me only having I only have 9 terabytes in use. I actually have another. Sorry, no, I'm wrong even then. Let's see, I have 9 terabytes in the media server, 1 terabyte in this laptop, another terabyte in a different laptop, and a 2 terabyte hard drive that I use specifically to carry files around. So I'm so so I have a few. I have a few. And I'm planning to get more so I can finally put all that information in a RAID array. It's still not protected, and it's running on drives that that I bought back in 2016, and they're still working just fine. Just fine. No errors on them at all. It's 3 o'clock. Oh gosh. Sir Cersus, why is your voice so high? It's 3 knocks then too. Okay, there we go. It's not her fault she has a curfew of 2 hours after dawn. When else is she supposed to do stuff? Every pony else has to be home 2 hours after the moon comes up. We can only play right before she has to go home, or right before every pony else does. I said every pony instead of every one. Hold on. It's not her fault she has a curfew of 2 hours after dawn. When else is she supposed to do stuff? Everyone else has to be home, not go home. Be. It's 3 knocks then two. Sirs, there we go. It's not her fault she has a curfew of 2 hours after dawn. When else is she supposed to do stuff? Every pony else has to be home 2 hours after the moon comes up. We can only play before she has to go home or right before everyone else does. Since I don't have to go anywhere and Topaz isn't teaching me until she's done with her schoolwork, I just, nap while everyone else is at school, and we get to hang out more. There aren't that many other bat ponies her age. Most of them are in shady whatsits. Most of the adults are career-oriented and aren't having foals, or didn't have them when her parents had her, I guess. Either way, it's not fair. Nymph scowled over at me as she pushed another bowl in my direction. I took it and began drying, considering this grounding business. Dishes are never fair. Regardless, it sounds like you were being... Dishes are never fair. Regardless, it sounds like you are being very dedicated to both groups of friends. But does it truly matter that she is not of age with her fellow... Oh, Nymph's a wordy little thing. Very true. Dishes are never fair. Regardless, it sounds like you are being very dedicated to both groups of friends. But does it truly matter that she is not of age with her fellow thestral foals? Topaz immediately cut in. Okay, Topaz. Oh no, I cut off Idol's line. Topaz immediately cut in. Idol, there we go. Absolutely, there's a bunch of divisions. Absolutely, there's a bunch of divisions when you're young, Idol. Learning your colors, to count, to read, that sort of thing. And because you're proud of the things you can do, you want everyone else to know. No. It happened last chapter. Yeah, pretty much as soon as Topaz found out about Cersus, it went from Nymph to Cersus because Topaz is like, Children should have a name. Children should have a name, Idol. I love how you start off the Topaz voice with Idol getting yelled at every time. Oh, that's Topaz's little trigger because I would know I would know what else to do for her. Idol, Idol. It's less her yelling. It's just her exasperated. Just Idol. No, just no. Like that is my one of my favorite lines of Topaz. Just being like, oh God, I have to deal. A changeling is not a pet. They're not a Christmas gift. They're a lifelong commitment. When we have foals, none get a name until their third birthday. You have birthdays? Well, no, it's their. Absolutely. There's a bunch of divisions when you're young, Idol, learning your colors, to count, to read, that sort of thing. And because you are become proud of the things, you I lost my place in the text. Oh no, I can't highlight things and record at the same time. No. Why have... Gosh, I feel like I should have run into this problem ages ago. Absolutely. There's a bunch of divisions when you're young, Idol, learning your colors, to count, to read, that sort of thing. And because you become proud of the things you can do, you want everyone else to know you can, so you can sort of disassociate yourself from foes who aren't old enough to have picked up those skills yet. Not because you mean to, but because you want your peers to recognize that you're part of a certain advanced skill set. If you're the only one that can read in your group, you might be the smart one, but you'll also still be lumped in with a group of foals who can't read and therefore might not be interested in the same things you now have access to. What's the difference between historical biographies and a science fantasy novel to someone who can't read? When you become an excavation drone, did you want to be mistaken for a nymph? The dried bowl was scooped up in a feathered wing and casually rolled into a cabinet with another, and a small checkered cloth was settled over it to catch the next. I smiled at the solid thud and took a final offered bowl from the Circus. Oh, I need that to be even more egregious. I smiled at the solid thunk and took the final... I smiled at the solid thud and took the... I smiled at the solid thud and took the final proffered. Why am I adding extra words? Oh no, I've been infected by V adding unnecessary advanced words into this. Just so I can call them a dictionary and post Sweetie Belle memes. I smiled at the solid thud and took the final offered bowl from the Circus. I had to acknowledge Topaz's point, however. Assuredly not, but these things seem to be neglected with age. Chores done, Topaz began into a full lecture mode as Nymph and I sat upon the couch attentively. Chores done, Topaz began into full lecture mode as Nymph and I sat upon the couch attentively. Topaz was a natural instructor, I had found, and even when I did not know what she was talking about, I enjoyed listening. You realize they don't matter so much. Once you hit a certain level, you're just kind of expected to go your own way in Equestria. Like your pottery. I don't get it, and I'm not as fascinated by the art of it as you are, or of the blending form and function like you tend to get, but that doesn't matter because I have really nice dishes. You realize they don't matter so much. Once you hit a certain level, you're just kind of expected to go your own way in Equestria. Like your pottery. I don't get it, but You realize they don't matter so much. Once you hit a certain level, you're just kind of expected to go your own way in Equestria. Like your pottery. I don't get it, and I'm not as fascinated by the art of it as you are, or of the blending of form and function like you tend to get, but that doesn't matter because I have really nice dishes and a serving bowl with a big enough spout that I can pour stew. It was. I thought he just screwed that one up, Circes confessed with a cheeky little smirk. I gave her a sour look, but Topaz gave my artistic heart and formerly fledgling skills no mercy. It probably was. Ooh, that sounds like the Nox stroke arc begins now. Remind me, was Idle literate when he left the hive? If so, why? What was the point of him learning to read if he expected to be an excavator drone his whole life? I don't think he was ever. I don't think he became literate until he probably hitched a ride with the caravan because he picked up some skills with traveling with the caravan. Oh, excuse me. So I don't think he learned to read from the hive. I think he learned to read somewhat from the caravan, but mostly from Topaz. Because we know he definitely knows how to read, uh, at least from like when he gets into Canterlot. Maybe during the 10-year time skip as well. He's a damn quick learner if that's the case then. Well, I don't think we know how long he was traveling with the caravan. I think it was only like it could have been only a couple of weeks, but he could have been traveling with them for a couple of months if he was there long enough to pick up a subtle accent according to Topaz. Or it could just be a mimicry of like the first ponies he ran into. So he was like, ah, this accent. Yes, all ponies must have it. And then never really let it go. But he was probably traveling with the caravan for a long while. My guess is 3 to 4 months. Because they did it during like the busy traveling season. Probably didn't even stop. Did they even stop in any town? So, depending on how big the Badlands Desert is, few months, plenty to pick up a lot of skills and an accent. So even if he's not fluent in reading, uh, he could probably still do a little bit of it before meeting up with Topaz, and Topaz would want him to fit into society better. So teaching him to write would be a natural part of that. That's my guess, though. It's been ages since I touched the first chapters. I imagine the guard wouldn't recruit illiterates. The guard seems small enough and dedicated enough to being there just to look pretty. That I think having noble dedicate or would be required. Well, the thing is that Idle didn't really get recruited the usual way. He just kind of showed up, said, "Hey, hey, this guy that used to be like the head honcho here said I was a good fit for this. Can I get in, please?" And they said, with those kinds of references, we'll let it slide this time. So he didn't take any tests or any formality getting into the guard. He just kind of showed up, did his knows someone who knows someone shtick, and got in by pure accident. And like he was probably also living in Canterlot for a few months before joining the guard because he did try out pottery as a skill for a while. Not to mention the trek from the Manticore to Canterlot probably didn't. It probably took a few weeks at least. I know we only saw handfuls of the journey, but like he could have been traveling with ponies for like almost a year before actually joining the guard. Heidel got recruited because his grandpa was an admiral. I mean, not far off, honestly. What was it? Rusty Barding was that character's name? Now I'm curious because I think it was Rusty Barding. Time to deep dive onto FimFic real quick. Load faster, faster, faster. So let's see. It would have been digging the hole deeper, I think. Wasta, Zamer. Let's see. With the red mane pony. What's the matter? I don't know what's the matter with you. Sanders, Wasta. Okay, Wasta. Come on, where is the other Silver Tongue? Roughshod. Roughshod. That's it. I wonder where Rusty Barding came from. Probably another fic. Oh, that's right. That's where I got Rusty Barding from. No, Roughshod is like his reference to get into the guard. Rusty Barding and Chest Candy were people from the Fort Nowhere crew, both of them. Half useless is already better than most of my shipmates. No, I think he said he's only half as useless as my two damn kids. I think what what he said as just like, oh man, like I always imagine that like the guards that came to tell him like he couldn't go through with recruitment were actually Rusty Bard or was actually Roughshod's kids. As just like, yeah, that sounds like Dad. Okay, you're in. Idle, idle. There we go. It probably was, but it worked out. Stew is easy to make and hard to screw up. You basically can't overcook it, and I like that bowl. If it keeps me from getting broth in my feathers, it's a win. Anyways, you don't understand my fascination for insects as much, but who cares? You still help me with my research from time to time. We're friends, even. If we're not. Oh, Idle. Topaz, you just can't friend zone Idle that hard. I know he did it to you first. Or is it friends? Best of friends. Death and taxes are the only certainties in life, other than supply not doing their job, or air not doing their job, or 90% of engineering not doing their job. Oh, or 90% of AMID not doing their jobs. Nobody on the damn ship works. I could rant for days on it. Sounds like the military to me. Because I know for certain that I do a good job when I'm doing my stuff. The issue is if I don't finish a job, which sometimes I'm unable to because I'm not assigned to that to finish up the job, I can't trust that it'll get done right. Which is why even after I leave the pest control business, I'm going to do my own pest control because even if, God forbid, I get bed bugs in my house, I know I'll do a better job treating it than I'll I'll do a better job treating it because I have to live with it. And the equipment's actually not that expensive. The expensive part is one, the commission, and two, like the guarantee. Worth ethic like that is why you're never escaping the Utah allegations. Hey, having a strong worth ethic, I could think of a lot of worse things to be allocated for. I mean, that was like a common trope when I worked at the IRS was there's only two processing centers in the entire country for mail. And One of them's here, and one of them's in. Oh gosh, where was it? I think it was Missouri. Oh no, yeah, it was Kansas City. So Kansas City, and there's always going to be a rivalry between two buildings that do pretty much the same job. But the thing is that I've heard from people that went over there to help train up some a new department over there, and they're like, yeah, some people just like show up to work in PJs, and it's like, I'm just like, they just don't do they just don't do things the right way. They let things slide too easily, and it made me want to get back to my own stuff, not because I had work to do, but because I could stand being in that lackadaisical of environment. And I'm like, oh no. He works hard, and well, so he can handle more work. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That honestly. And what's funny is that we would sometimes get in a several trucks of paperwork that Kansas City was running behind on. They're like, this stuff's old, and we don't want to do it. Send it to the Ogden Center, and so we would spend months catching up on things that were too weird, and they didn't want to do. So we ended up to do it. And the thing is that these two centers are supposed to be processing uh, different forms. The the Ogden Center is supposed to be processing 90% of the business forms for the country and 10% of the individual tax forms, whereas Kansas City is supposed to be processing 90% of the individual tax forms and 10% of the business tax forms. Well, how it actually plays out is that Kansas City does 80% of the individual tax forms, and Ogden does 100% of the business tax and 20% of individual tax. Or at least that's how it was before I left. On one hand, I envy the relaxedness, but on the other hand, that sounds way, way too lax for me to actually work in. Right? Exactly. And plus, sitting at a desk job, it sucks all day, which is why I'm trying to get into a profession that doesn't necessarily sit around all day, but I'm doing physical work. I need to do something with my hands, or else I just get bored and I do not want to do it anymore. I could probably go back to the IRS now that everything's kind of really good, especially if I can get in on day shift, which is surprising for me because I worked night shift for like over a decade, and now I can't even think about going back to night shift because even though I want to work on night shift, I actually don't like working at nights anymore. It's a whole thing that I only recently discovered. So, yeah. Didn't Oh no, that's not my department. That I think they're based out of DC. Yeah, no. What all our two buildings did was process paper, mailed in taxes. That is all that we have to do. It's a submission processing center. It is nothing more than that. And there's like actually four buildings of the whole complex. I was in the main building, and I did work at Arca for a little bit, which is the mailroom. And the mailroom's the size of a Costco warehouse. Um, and the reason why it's a separate building was because they got tired of having to clear out the entire center when someone would put baby powder in an envelope as a joke on all the federal workers for stealing their hard-earned money and giving them a scare. So now they're in a separate building with proper hazmat protocols and whatnot. And actually, that when I did briefly work in Arca as like a boost to the skeleton crew that they had at the time, someone did find white powder in an envelope, and that shut down the mail process for like a few hours while the fire department came out and like made sure everything was fine and whatnot. Um, and then they told us the next day that like the processes and procedures if you find that kind of stuff in the envelope and whatnot. And someone asked, "So did they find out what was in that?" And I could tell that the manager didn't want to tell anyone. But since they were asked such a direct question, they're just like, it turned out it was cocaine. Why anyone would put that in an envelope, I have no idea. Someone in this crowd of people under this mezzanine in this warehouse just shouted, "Proof of income!" and any professionalism went immediately out the window. Any facade of professionalism just left immediately. Oh man. But but yeah, it was a very fun like month or so that I worked there just to process all the things. That was probably the most single expensive package y'all got there. Maybe. I actually have no idea because I don't work in the mailroom. But apparently people have tried like paying instead of like sending money, they would like send jewelry or like paintings and stuff of that nature. Or like they said one guy sent in a shirt written out with a check because it's like the shirt off of his back and things of that nature. And what's funny is that things that are written out like a check, as long as it's signed and written and filled out properly, they'll actually accept that as a check and it will just get processed. For anything that's not money, they will actually go through the effort of auctioning it off, of like getting it appraised and selling it, and then apply that as a credit to the account. Sending in items of value instead of money? Yeah. Like, as long as it's valuable, yeah. It's, yeah, the craze, there's so many crazy things that people have found in packages sent to the IRS. One guy sent in his thumb. Then the Postal Service also found that he was trying to send in bombs. That didn't work out. He's in jail now. If he sends in something worth more than your tax requirement, do you get it in your refund? Yeah, yeah. Like they'll handle stuff like that for you. But thing is that you'll probably get more if you sold it to like officially than having the government sell it for you. So they're probably not getting a good return on their money, but they're getting something on there for their money. But yeah, like if people sent in like rare coins before and other stuff, he needed his thumbprint to arm the bombs. Gosh. And it was actually working through the IRS that I found out that the IRS police force that the Treasury Department has its own section of police, both for internal and external affairs. It's called TIGDA. So, like everyone thinks it's the FBI that will come knocking on your door. No, it's the Treasury special agents that will be knocking on your door. They also do internal investigations on fraud within the IRS as well. Me paying my taxes solely in pennies in the year 2050. As long as it's legal tender, they have to legally accept all of it. Thing is that if it's pennies, especially if it's copper pennies, they're more valuable melted down than they are face value. So if it's copper pennies, don't give them a penny. Give them sell the scrap metal of copper. That's worth way more. Anyway, where was I? Uh, hold on. Where was I at No Mercy? Yep, No Mercy. So the penny is the opposite of debasing currency? You know what? Kind of. Romans shudder at the concept. Yep. So true. Hold on, I think I hear a knock on my door. I'll be right back. Oh, what fell? Oh, that. Alright, turns out it was no one. He hears an equine knocks. I love it. But yeah. And also working at the IRS found out that all that gosh, the systems that they use are not as sophisticated as everyone makes it out to be. Because they're dealing with tape records dating back to like the 60s, if not older. I never had an account older than like 1967 that I had to work with, but some of the records there get pretty old and pretty full as well. And it's all in one database, too. And it is absolutely a blast to work through, especially during a dead cycle, which is a few weeks at the beginning of the year, where no one has access to any external systems because they're doing a cleanup and manual save of all the data, or manual backup of all the accounts that have been affected in the last year. It takes 2 to 4 weeks to complete, and during that time, the only all you have access to is what's on the local servers at the center. Everything else is a mystery, so it becomes very painful to try and figure out anything that's happening with an account. Solely with bags of sorghum flour. Gosh, I think you'll be making a loss on those, that's for sure. I don't. It probably was, but it worked out. Stew is easy to make and hard to screw up. You basically can't overcook it, and I like that bowl. If it keeps me from getting broth on my feathers, it's a win. Anyways, you don't understand my fascination for insects as much, but who cares? You'll still help me with my research from time to time. We're friends, even, if we're not in the same general social circles, and there's no hierarchy to dissuade it. Sure, there's a bit of distinction between, say, a first year and a fourth year student at higher learning, but if one's going for botany, but if one's going for botany and one's going into medicine, the overlap is different. An early training botanist knows how to care for a willow tree and maybe even knows where painkillers. Gosh, Topaz, you talk almost as much as Cersus. um, yeah, sorghum. Uh, I actually never. I don't think I ever used sorghum. I've eaten graham flour because that's what's in graham crackers, and I didn't realize that until I looked up what are graham crackers made out of on a random whim one night. Gosh, I really need to update my VTuber one of these days. I need to add a bandana. I need to add a little purple bandana to him. Maybe that's the next week. No, not next week. 2 weeks from now, kind of the deal. I definitely don't have time for for doing that. Was the flour named after the crackers? Because the crackers were named after the dude who made them. No, in the thing that I was looking at, it said that the crackers are called graham crackers because they use graham flour to make the crackers. The thing I read could have been wrong, though. Graham cracker is uh, mass produced by a national biscuit company. Um, was inspired by the preaching of Sylvester Graham. I believe in a vegetarian diet anchored by bread made from wheat coarsely ground at home. God, that wait, it was inspired from a religious sermon that follows natural law would keep people healthy. To that end, Graham introduced the world's first Graham wafer product. It was this dull, unsifted flour biscuit made by Graham himself. So both the flour and the biscuit were named after this dude. Oh my gosh. During the cholera epidemic, his followers were called Grahamites. The first vegetarian movement in America. Graham flour, graham crackers, and graham bread were created for them. Graham neither invented nor profited from these products. Oh my gosh. Interesting. Man. So, National Biscuit Company. NBC produced this? They were the first to mass produce it. Interesting. So, gosh, that made it a lot more complicated. So, according to Wikipedia, he didn't invent either of them, but they were invented and by his inspiration for them, and they're named after the same dude. They're not named after each other. Though that makes me wonder, which came first, the box elder tree or the box elder bug? Because I can't tell you how many times I've been asked that question, and I'm like, well, it's like a chicken and the egg problem. how how did you get that character shown by, and you can't even see it? What? 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 Why? Is that a Google Translate thing? Why? What? Hold on. I need to screenshot this. Is that Google Translate? Be like, I don't know what that is. So I'm going to say you can translate that. Hold on. I'm putting this in the related chat. Because it disappears when I hover over it. And it doesn't show anything else on there. So I am confuzzled. Also, happy Egg Day for everyone. My family had their Egg Day yesterday, which is why I'm here today. Oh, was it autocorrect? Oh, that's weird. Graham. Gosh, Google just said no. pasta. It just didn't like what you were saying or something. Just auto-corrected it. It probably was, but it worked out. Stew is easy to make and hard to mess up. You basically can't overcook it, and I like that bowl. If it keeps me from getting broth on my feathers, it's a win. Anyways, you don't understand my fascination for insects as much, but who cares? You'll still help me with my research from time to time. We're friends even. We're friends, even if we're not in the same general social circles, and there's no hierarchy to dissuade it. Sure, there's a bit of distinction between, say, a first year and a fourth year student in higher learning, but if one's going for botany and one's going to medicine, the overlap is different. An early training botanist knows how to care for a willow tree and maybe even knows how to make painkillers from the bark, but it's the fully trained doctor who knows how to properly and safely apply them. They could become friends just from seeing each other so often, but the botanist could also meet a bunch of doctors who need what they provide, or the doctors could see a lot of botanists for other sorts of medicine. So they aren't in the same circles, but they share a periphery with a lot of other folks. So they aren't in the same circles, but they share a periphery with a lot of folks that might be in those circles. You understand? Not even slightly. Nope. It's three knocks then too. Nope. There we go. And there's the 99th reason why. Google races against Brits. Oh, so it's a British spelling versus English spelling? Oh, I can't tell you how much I am annoyed by the differences between certain uh, English and British spellings of words, because I am proofreading a book for publication right now, and the amount of, or I'm halfway through like proofreading an entire series for publication, and the amount of times it's like, hey, do you want to switch the dictionary from American English to British English? I'm like, no. And I'll be writing a sentence, and what I would, and how I would say it, and it's like, this seems to be British English. Would you like to change it to be American English? And I'm like, no, because that's how I would say that sort of thing, and that's how it's written. So we're keeping it. We're not changing it. It happens way too often. Topaz rolled her eyes good-naturedly. Kinda figured you wouldn't, Idol, but a little more surprised about Cersus. Maybe that's just a changeling thing. I mean, to you, the Guard is one big happy family and you're cheerfully oblivious to everything to the contrary. But the Wonderbolts are part of the Guard, and while the Night Guard and Day Guard aren't technically separate branches, there is a Navy. Yes, but I would be fearfully useless on a boat, as I am not a Pegasus. Oh. Yes, but I would be fearfully useless on a boat, and as I am not a Pegasus, my interest in the Wonderbolts... In the Wonderbolts... Gosh, why is that such a hard word to say? Yes, but I'd be fearfully... Yes, but I would be fearfully useless on a boat, and as I am not a Pegasus, my interest in the Wonderbolts is less than most of yours. So really, the only ones in your circle are the ones like Spitfire, who likes to be a social firefly and to be noticed everywhere, and Soren because he likes being everyone's friends. Do you even know Fleetfoot Stratosphere? Fleetfoot only vaguely. She has a distinct voice. I tilted my head. Spitfire has never even complained about someone named Stratosphere. While I hate to cast aspirations, it does make me wonder if you mean someone else. And And she mostly spends her time with other Wonderbolts. You only interact with Spitfire. Ra. Ra. Navy mentioned. Celestia's own fuss saved the urn. I thought. Oh, no. Yeah, no. Navy mentioned, so gotta get the Marines in there. The Ra. Yes, I am reading too much. Mwahaha. I'm still probably not going to finish this chapter before I have to close out in a half an hour. Equestrian Royal Navy, Bestrian Royal Navy. I can't read less when I'm in a character voice, because I have to read as fast as the character reads. And for Topaz, she reads awfully fast. And she spends most of her time with other Wonderbolts. You only interact with Spitfire because she's Wonderbolt Captain and she likes to chat with you from time to time to get your opinion on ponies. And because she's trying to and she spends her to and she mostly spends her time with other Wonderbolts. You only interact with Spitfire because she's a Wonderbolt captain and she likes to chat with you from time to time to get your opinions on ponies. And because she's trying to poach Wispy. Good catch on Stratosphere, though. Just checking. She frowned, looking over to Nymph, who looked dumbstruck. I think I've gotten off topic. It was 3 knocks then, too. Gosh, I gave Idle, and it was 3. Oh, they are so subtly different. You know Spitfire and Soren? Of course I do. I am a guard. She is captain of the Wonderbolts. Soren has a fantastic nose for desserts and a sweet tooth. Topaz gave me a strange look, but made no further comment. But the Wonderbolts are cool! I reconsidered my stance on grounding, and then decided that was petty and beneath me. Cersis's troublemaking had been to establish a much-needed friend to a Thestral who seemed disconnected from her peers. And? You're, not cool? Where did... I think I've gotten off topic. Nox, why do you say that like you were reading from the story? You know Spitfire? And Soren? Oh, give... You know Spitfire? And Soren? Is that enough emphasis? I'm never this... I never get this excited about a lot of things. So hold on. Let's see. More emphasis. You know Spitfire? It's Soren too? I guess he's there as well. Possibly. No, it's only Spitfire, right? You know Spitfire? And Soren? You know Spitfire? And Soren? Nah. Oh, I'm clipping. No! My laptop specs? Um... It's a it's a Razer Blade 15 from 2019. So let's see. The processor is a i7-9750H. Let's see. What is the thing that it has? What does the thing that it has to do the thing that it needs to do that has a thing? Does it even have a GPU? No, it must have a GPU. Where's the GPU name then? Am I just gonna have to go to another thing? Let's see. No, that's startup apps. No, that's app history. Ah, here we go. And for a GPU, I have a GTX 1660 Ti. Gosh, Cersus, you're getting too excited for my. That is. Ugh. You're too hyperactive. I do not know how to take being that emotional. Ooh, nice. Yeah, it served me well. I think I'm going to be getting a different what is it called? I was thinking about getting a better laptop, like a framework or something. I can't afford a framework because they're just too expensive. So I was thinking about getting a desktop, maybe with like an Arc B580 or something like that, because I don't need a powerful GPU. I just need a GPU. And because while I don't play a lot of games, I do play a couple with friends here and there. But I mostly need it to render, and I don't need too much else. Oh, I don't even have to buy a case. As long as my old case fits the new, what is it called? Motherboards. That's what they're called. You know Spitfire and Soren? You know Spitfire and Soren? Gosh, I clipped again. No! You know Spitfire. Oh, man. Well, I think that should be. Come on. And you're getting inserted, right? And make room. Okay. And boop. And boop. And oh. And a boop. I just realized I never saved. That would have been disastrous. 58. Hooves on first. There we go. That's as far as he'll ever get narrating the story. Hey, 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 hey. Just because it's true doesn't mean you have to point it out, okay? Of course I do. I am a guard. She is the captain of the Wonderbolts. Soren has a fantastic... Oh, actually, no. I did get past all that. Let's see. Where did I actually end up at? Truth be told... Oh, there's like a rumbly bass or something. What's making all that noise? You probably can't even hear it, but It's a very low rumble. It's ruining my audio. How dare they? Truth be told, her efforts to squirm around my minimal attempt at establishing rules were amusing, as was her insistence that I was uncool. I was, in fact, the hippest, though I knew better than to correct this grievous error. Only by insisting you were cool one could ever prove themselves fraudulent, apparently. So in not correcting her, I gave a scathing criticism to her insult. The little changeling shifted from hoof to hoof, radiating guilt. I wasn't going to say that, just something like that. I am bruised, but uninjured. Regardless, Spitfire is perhaps the epitome of what a Wonderbolt is. She is brash, showy, and proud. I am bruised, but uninjured. Regardless, Spitfire is perhaps the epitome of what a Wonderbolt is. She is brash, showy, and proud. I believe she has earned the right to all three. Can I get her autograph? I sighed. It was entirely an inappropriate request for a young infiltrator, particularly one who already had a box of trophies. I'm stuck between wanting a framework or a tuxedo laptop. What's a tuxedo? I don't think I've seen that laptop. I get more price of performance with the tuxedo, but not as repairable. Yeah. I've liked working with a laptop, but with but I've been actually prevented from working with a laptop because yeah, disapproval on trophies, even though Idol is just as guilty. Idol is a dirty hypocrite and he knows it. Yeah, I think I've already voiced Spitfire once, and I can't remember what her voice sounds like. I sighed. It was an entirely. I sighed. It was a. I sighed. It was entirely an inappropriate request for a young infiltrator, particularly one who had already had a box of trophies. And of course, I was already planning to ask for it. Or perhaps one could do better. A learning experience. It occurs to me. Oh gosh, that almost slipped into blue blood. It occurs to me that Spitfire delights in doing signatures for fillies and colts and homemade Wonderbolt costumes for Nightmare Night. It occurs to me that Spitfire delights in doing signatures for fillies and colts and homemade Wonderbolt costumes for Nightmare Night. Circus's wings suddenly buzzed so ferociously that the hum was surely audible even to Topaz. At my look, she bit her lip and visibly calmed herself. Oh? Is that so? Still too much excitement. Oh? Is that so? Still too much excitement, but no longer wasteful. A good show for a... Still too much excitement, but no longer wasteful. A good show of her training. Truthfully, I was rather impressed. I couldn't help but encourage her further. Indeed, she has even been known to have her photograph taken with those who truly impress her. That was what she was known for, yes, but I knew better than that. She simply loved the looks on their faces when she told them some odd facet of the false uniform was close to perfect. That 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 she wasn't actually impressed often was irrelevant. It was part of her character for the foals, and she relished it. She even kept the spare photos in a carefully tended box. As she put it, it would make for a great As she put it would make for great teasing material for the new recruits in 10 years or so. I had cheerfully condemned the leech for ruining such a sparkling tender revelation, and she only grinned at me. Some things just didn't change, I supposed. There was a shrill chirp from the nymph, and she rushed me and clung to my leg. Lech? Lech versus leech? Okay. I pronounce lech. Lech. The thing is that all I'm getting is, no, howtopronounce.com, although people are putting it as a name. Lek? Lek. Interesting. I would have never guessed it would have been pronounced Lek. A Lek is someone who's lecherous. Lek. Alright. If that's not how it's pronounced, then pronunciation.com is wrong. Or what is it actually called? Lek. Yeah, howtopronounce.com told me it was Lek. Leek? It's not. Why are you pronouncing it as leek? Like with potatoes. I've never had leeks with potatoes before. I didn't even know leeks existed until I started watching British cooking shows. Mostly sorted food, but British shows in general. I hope you did pronounce it as lek, because potato soup is good, as in lecture. You're saying all these things, and leeks are the unholy hybrid of chives and onions. Also, Google did a, a thing. They did the thing again where they corrected Drake into it saying something else. Oh, I know exactly what he's saying. Thing is that there's no correct pronunciation. Lech? Are you saying lech? Lek? You say it's not leech, so lek or lech? I and you keep on saying I'm wrong, so I'm guessing you're saying lech, and we're just gonna roll with it because lecherous. Yeah, that's fair. Pronunciation.com. How to pronounce.com. You're wrong. Wrong, sir. Wrong. As she put it would make for great teasing material for the new recruits in 10 years or so. I had cheerfully condemned the lech for ruining such a sparkling tender revelation, and she only grinned at me. Some things just didn't change, I supposed. There was a shrill there was a shrill there was a shrill chirp from the nymph, and she rushed me and clung to my leg. Gosh, how many thank yous? Okay, just 3. Thank you, thank you, thank you! I'm going to get started right now! Thank you, thank you, thank you! I'm going to get started right now! That didn't even sound like Cersei's. Gonna have to go. Y'all have a happy Easter. It was nice seeing you, Elite. Hopefully, we'll see you next time. Hopefully, in shorter than 3 months. Happy Easter. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to get started right now. And with that, the young changeling had flipped the couch to get at her secret escape route. I meant you should disguise yourself, I sighed, words lost to the air. She forgot she was trying to hide that hole from me, Topaz noted dryly, peering after my charge. Shame you missed it. Ah, oh, gosh. How you set up your on-screen chat function? It is, what do you mean? Just like how it shows up on stream? I just went to streamlabs.com and you sign them in with your YouTube account. And as long as it's signed in, like with the YouTube or Twitch, as long as it's signed into there, anything that YouTube sends out on that account, it'll be like, yes, this is how it, and you can format it to your liking. And then it's just a copy paste the URL into a. Oh gosh, where did I put that now? Yeah, you put it in a browser source, and it'll make all the things right. Absolutely. Absolutely, she agreed, helping me shift the couch back over it. Besides, it's cute that she's so excited to make something. Maybe she'll get Maybe she'll get into it as you are your pottery. Maybe she'll get into it as you are with your pottery. Good idea, Idol. I hadn't even considered that. It was oddly humbling. Yes, well, if she. Yes, well, if it keeps her out of trouble, a worthy cause. Topaz tried very hard not to smile at me. Depends on. Depends on where. Depends on how and where she gets the fabric. I had the men- I had the sudden mental image of a disguised I had the sudden mental image of a disguised nymph raiding a Wonderbolt supplier for fabric scraps, and I do not think I could willingly replicate the sound I made. And thank goodness, because I don't think I'd be able to replicate it either. Yeah, no problem. Sometimes people want to like disconnect from Streamlabs and like go full OBS. Some people like the Streamlabs environment. I've switched back and forth over the years, but some of the tools that they do have work really well. So I'll keep using them because it's free. I mean, it's free, so might as well until, something else happens that makes me do a different thing. But, gosh, we actually got through the first Let's see. First half? First third? First third? Gosh, this is such a long chapter. Oh gosh. That's a long chapter, V. Why did you do this to me? Oh gosh. Well, I think that is a good place to wrap it up for this week. It's it's been quite a while, but this is where we've really been hitting the ground running. Hitting the ground trotting. The horse words be horse words. Any hoozles. I best get going. I got to quickly eat and run to get gas at the cheapest gas place I can find right now before I head off for the evening. So, anyways, I will see y'all next week. Have a great night.